Hey guys, my name is Sanjiraj. Welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, I'll be showing you guys how to create this WordBeater game using vanilla JavaScript, guys. So the way it works is just simply you just click generate. It's gonna show you guys a countdown and a generate name. So I lost right there. So it gives a 5-second timing. So you have to type the randomly generated name. In 5 seconds you could actually change it in just a small piece of code, and you could also replay, and if you get it correct then it will say you won. If you get it wrong, obviously you'll get it saying you lost. So we won't be focusing more on the UI side, we'll be focusing more on JavaScript and understanding how the program is going to mainly work. So let's get started here. So I'll open up a new folder, I'll create a new folder. So I'll tutorial app. So I'll select that folder. The main parts of our web page is going to be our HTML and our JavaScript. So let me go ahead and create index.html. Sorry, style.css. Sorry guys. So you're gonna delete that. Create a style.css and app.js. So inside the index.html we'll just create a random emit abbreviation. I'm just gonna say WordBeater and I'll link this to my style sheet. So guys, I've got my code right next to me, so I might refer to that code while I'm actually doing the program. So I noticed this index should be index.html. So inside the body you need a form with a class of input section, and inside, so you don't need an action for this form because we are not using PHP. So inside the form you need an input saying word input. So this is exactly where the user or the person who's playing the game is going to input the word. So just like that, and I'll put a placeholder and say enter word. Right after the input box, as you guys can see, we need a replay button and a generate button, but we also want a couple of things such as this random name and also this countdown. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So basically we need a button saying replay right there, and need a button saying generate. So this is going to generate a random number from the array. So to say generate, and also we need a couple of h1s in order to kind of do it in JavaScript and change the values according to it's in HTML. So we need two things. This is going to be the countdown text, which will change in JavaScript, and we also need the random word. So I'm using emit here. So if you put dot random word, it will create a h1 with a class of random word. So if we actually do open this up with live server, we guys can actually see how it looks like in normal plain HTML. So I'll go ahead and get that, get this a little bit this side, and just like that. Very good. So in the style.css it's going to be very basic, not that much of styling as I told. So basic styling of margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box, which will enable us to style and align the stuff in the HTML more better, and also put a font family of Nunito. If you guys don't have it, you guys can actually search on Google Fonts, or else I'll leave it in the description down below. So for the input section, so input section will have a width of 70% and a margin of 125 pixels on the top and bottom, and auto on the left and right. So we'll get it just like that. It's not that much aligned, right? So we'll have it to display flex and flex direction column. So it's just like that because we want it to be aligned on top of each other. So we'll style all the inputs and the buttons to have a margin bottom of universal margin bottom of 15 pixels. And then for the input and the button, we'll have a padding of 10 pixels. Then for the button, we need a background of a type of blue color. So you can hover over it, you can change it if you're using Visual Studio Code. Put the border radius to 3 pixels, border to none. So just like that, guys. Also put the cursor to pointer, so you get clicking mouse when you hover over it. Also you want the font weight to be bold, and increase the font size to around 20 pixels, just like that. We also want a different styling when it is actually hovered over. So you put a colon hover, and so that's the way you define whether it's what to do when it's hovered, when the button is hovered. So I'll make the background kind of little bit kind of light. So you should not leave a space there, so you could actually see how it works. So to get started with the JavaScript, this might take actually a little bit of time to do because there's a lot of code, comparatively a lot of code. So I'll say first let's define all the variables. So obviously we need the input, so I'll say input equals document.querySelector, and I'll say, which we gave a class to, it's called word input. And also we need to define the button as a constant variable because obviously we won't be changing it. And we gave it a class of button, right? We did not give it a class of button. So we should give the class of button. Yeah, so we don't need the button, but we need the generate button, which we know we did put in the Java HTML. So I give a class of generate, and also we want the random word that we created to be a let variable because we want it to be changing according to how the game is going to work. So if the person enters a different word compared to the words that are supposed to be typed in, so we're going to change the random word. So stuff like that. We want to get that by saying document.querySelector, also random word. You'll say let count down equals document.querySelector, say dot count down, and then we want to define the input value. is going to be equals to the import dot value. So the value that's actually passed in here will be stored in the variable called input value. We also wanna define random name. So this is the name that is going to be generated each and every time we run the function, and this is the place where we are going to be putting in the random name. So here, in order to get this actual random word generator happening, is we need a function that actually does that. So we'll say function input game. So right after we click on generate, we want a couple of things to happen. So generate button dot add event listener. We'll add an event listener. We want to listen for a click, and once we listen for a click, we want to start an arrow function. So I put a E, which is going to be the event. Why do we need the event? Because we want to prevent the default, which means to prevent the button click from refreshing. So as you guys can see, it's refreshing the web page. So once you put e.prevent default, it's going to prevent that. So if I do that, okay, I did not link this to the style HTML. Let's say app.js. So once I do that, generate, okay, we should call the function right down here, so that it doesn't work. So right after that, so what we want is every time we click on the generate button, we want a random value to be created, and every time that is correctly input, we want it to refresh, we want the input to refresh. So what I will do, put the input dot value equals nothing. So as we stopped here, we put the input value to nothing once we click on the generate button, because every time the person clicks on generate, we want the person to input the word as quickly as possible. So right after we do that, what we want to do is we want to generate a new random word. So I actually will open up my file where I've got all of my random words. So if I do it, if I do check it, so if I open this up, my app.js, I've got the array of words. Don't worry guys, I'll leave a link to the whole code in the description right down below. So what you want to do is you want to paste that right here. So it's called const word array. So we want to generate a random word every time the person clicks on generate. So how do we do that? So what we do is we want to create a random number first. So how do we do it is, first of all, we say math.random, and we create a random number from 1 to 10, and what we do is we multiply that by 10. So now this is going to give us a random not a random value, it's going to give us a decimal. So that's why I multiplied it by 10, but even though after I multiply by 10, it's going to give us a decimal. So what we should do is we should math.flow, so it will kind of round it off to the nearest number. So put a brackets there, it will round it off to the nearest number. So what are we going to do with this random number? So we want to get the number, the random word that is in the index that is given by the random number. So if the random number actually returns 2, we'll get the second element in the word array. So we do it is random, we'll say const random word equals word array, and then we want, what element do we want to get? We want to get the element that has the random number. So it says we have not defined, we have not used the random word. So if I do actually go up, it's already there. So I'll say random array. So now we have a random word, so we want to first now put this word into the in HTML. So I'll say random word.inHTML, random word.inHTML will be equals to random array. So if I click generate, so you guys can see a random word is generated every time we click on generate. So now that's working. We want to make sure we have the countdown. Yeah, we need a countdown. So how do we go about doing countdown, guys? We want kind of like a counter, a variable counter, and we want it to reduce by 1 every second, obviously. So we use setInterval. Now if you guys are really new to this, leave a comment down below, guys, if you want like a tutorial on all of these higher order functions. I'll actually make a video on that, so if you guys really do want it. So when you click on setInterval, just click enter, you guys will be greeted with all this boilerplate code. So you put 1000 in the interval section. So inside the function, what you want to do, but outside the function, you want to put let count equals, let's say 7 seconds. Let's make this game a little bit easier for us to just experiment with. And then every time, every second, every 1000 milliseconds, so this is milliseconds, so every millisecond we want to reduce the count by 1. So count minus, which is going to reduce it. So we'll actually console.log the count every second. So click on that. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it'll go minus now, because when you see, we are just saying it to go minus. We are not giving it a specific place to, like a specific section to go until. So save that. What we want to do, we want to create an if condition. So if count is greater than 0, greater than or equals to 0, we want to reduce the count. So if we check it now, I think it might stop in 0. Okay, we want it to be only greater, because until it's greater than 0, it will do what it's supposed to do. So once it reaches 0, it will stop the function and it will say time up. So yeah, that's it. So what do we want to do if count is equals to 0? So I want to say if count equals 0, no, we actually want to put the in HTML. So countdown dot in HTML equals to the count. We don't just want the count, we want to say it's the countdown, and then say increment it with the count. So if I click generate, you guys can see it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and it's 0. When it comes to 0, it's doing nothing. What we actually do want to do is, when it comes to 0, we want to say time's up. So inside this, or even outside that, you could do it, but inside this you could say if count is equals to 0, I highly recommend you guys use double equals. So if count is equals to 0, we want to set the countdown.inHTML equals to time up. So now if we click on generate, so we want to stay for instantly 0. Once it's 0, it will say time up, I think. So I think we should get this out of the if condition. We'll just make it 2, guys, because it might take time. 1, 0. So wait, if the count is equal to 0, countdown to HTML, so we want it to be equals, not double equals. So if I click on generate, it's gonna say time up once it's 0. So that's exactly what we want to do, guys. So we've got the countdown function, we've got the generating the random name. What we want to do is meddle with the input and the generated name. So if we come down the set interval, we can do one thing, which is so what we want to do is listen for what the user is typing. We want a live preview of what he is typing. We cannot wait for the person to click on a button, because we want the person to type the word as quickly as possible. So we want to listen for the live value. So how do we do that? So we have got the input right there. What we want to do is we want to listen for a key up. So if we say key up, and then we want arrow function. So inside the arrow function, I'm just going to console.log input.value, so you guys can actually see what's the live input that I'm doing. So make this a little bit small. Okay, so it's working as we're doing. So once we click on generate, and then it's going to work. So as you guys can see, it's generating all the words only after we click on generate. So our program is working perfectly. So now what we want to do, we don't want to console.log the input.value. We want to match it with the generated name. So we'll say if input.value is equals to the random name. Is that the name we used? Random, no, it's called random array. No, we'll use random name because we want the name that is displayed in the HTML. Then we want to say what do we want to do? We want to actually change the random word dot in HTML equals u1. Now in case this doesn't happen, but we don't want an else statement. We want to check if the timer is actually running or not. So if input.value is equals to random name and the count is not equals to 0, then we want to say the in HTML is equals to 0, u1, because even after the count goes to 0 and if it says time up, if the value is correct, our previous code would say u1, but we don't want that to happen. So here we'll put an else statement. If that doesn't work, obviously we want to say you lost. So say random word.inner HTML equals you lost. So if we check generate, I'll say dictionary should say you lost. Why? Okay, we should actually change the countdown because I put it to 2. Guys, you don't need to change the countdown because it's kind of a easy thing. Thesaurus, shit, the spelling's wrong. We'll generate another one. It's undefined. Mathematics. Well, it's saying it's lost. So we'll just check if this is just like normally working. Generate television. It's always saying it's lost. Console.log input.value. We'll just check why it's not working. Okay, so I can see this program is not working, the if condition. So input.value equals the random name dot in HTML. The HTML that is the value that is inside the wait. This random name. If the random name is I don't think it's defined. There's nothing called random name, random array. We'll just say random word.in.html. So if I say microscope, so if I say random array, should be saying you want thesaurus. Okay, at least it did that. So you want, so if you want to play again, you click on replay. Now we did not do anything to the replay button, right? You guys might have a question like, how is it working? Basically, for all the buttons, when you click, it always refreshes the screen. So we did not do anything to the replay button, we just styled it. So once we click on it, it refreshes. So the import refreshes, the generate button refreshes, all these time up and countdown, everything refreshes. But for the generate button, right here, we took the event. Once we listen for a event listener, also we prevented the default, which is the default thing is to refresh the screen. So we prevented that. That's about it, guys. Like, it's so easy. I highly recommend you guys do try this project because it's kind of really easy one, but it's got some complex things that it might help you guys when you're learning JavaScript. So highly recommend when you guys are interested. And also we are close to 150 subscribers, guys. Thank you to all of you guys watching. And also once we hit 150, which is going to be in my next video, I guess, once the video is uploaded, we already might have hit 150, but during 150 subscribers I might give you guys a special surprise or anything. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, guys. Don't forget, leave a like, follow me on Instagram, comment down below if you guys have any questions, any doubts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.